بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن كان عليه دين من ماله فلا زكاة عليه. وقال الشافعي.
Okay. See, this is a very Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. This is a very, very important masla on which any other masail um, pertains to, or you can understand and derive many masail from this. See, the whole idea of zakat is first. First point is this here. Shariat has classified certain classes of wealth which are zakatable, and certain classes of wealth are not zakatable. That will come in detail, more detail will come, but more or less, just roughly, briefly, your your currencies. In previous time was gold and silver. Today it's fiat currencies. If you right, and then your goods stock of trade which you bought with the express intention of reselling, and then you got your free grazing animals or it graze for the greater part of the year, you must pay zakat upon them, right? So that's the first point. Shariat has given you certain, in a Hanafi madhab, this will come also, woman's personal jewelry also you must pay, and we gave you the reason because either it grows or it has a potential to grow, and if you don't want to grow it, it's your fault. Shariat encourages you to grow it, right? So that is the first thing. You got certain classes of wealth that you must pay zakat on. The second thing is this here, this is the critical one now, that Sharia only wants you to pay on what you are truly worth. You don't pay zakat on something which you're not really, what's the right word? You don't really own it. Yeah, okay, you can say it like this. Sharia don't want you to pay something on what you don't really own it. You only pay zakat on what you own. So, hypothetically, if I got now, like you said, the nisab is 28,000 rand, right? So I got 28,000 rand, right? One whole year passed upon it, right? But I'm worth 28,000 rand, right? Just to simplify it, just say you only got 28,000 rand. There's only the zakatable assets you got. You got no other zakatable assets. Just keep it for that for the moment, right? So you only got 28,000 rand, right? Now, just before the zakat year matures, right? You owe, you incur debt, whatever Allah Ta'ala protect. You owe 30,000 rand, right? So this the same thing what I'm telling you now, it also makes you apply the same thing in Western law to determine your net value. How much are you got a 30,000 rand debt? Okay, say okay, let's make it more simple. You got a 30,000 rand debt, something happened, Allah protect, medical bill, you had to go to hospital or whatever. Right? Or maybe you got a business debt even that so sometimes people protect, they run overdraft, whatever the business not bringing a profit, or it is quiet times. So, or right, you took a loan from the bank to keep the business afloat, or maybe you owe the suppliers. So, simple example in this context, your stock at hand is 30,000 rand, right? You got no cash, but you owe your merchants now 30,000 rand. You owe them. There's an immediate debt, right? So how much are you worth as an individual? How much are you worth? Yes, you're going to trade the debt out. Maybe you're going to buy, sell, make profit, and you're going to pay the debt out at the later stage. But how much are you worth now? How much you worth now? Huh? You're yeah, you're in a negative. If your debt is exactly the own, you are worth zilch. You are worth zilch. But if you right, so same thing here. When you are working out your zakat assets, you will deduct your current liabilities, right? Now, so whatever you own for whatever reason, say if you have a business, but you got a personal debt also. There's no separation in Sharia. You are who you are. We look at your interest in the business. So if the business, for example, is solvent and the business has got cash on hand, or the business has got cash, got stock that is free from debt, whatever, right? We don't, and then you got personal debts. We don't say, oh, that the business must pay zakat, but you as an individual, you got it. No, that that value in that business is yours, so it will be added to your net worth, Like they say, Elon Musk is going to be the first trillionaire in the history of mankind. Will be the first trillionaire in the history of mankind. How does he become a trillionaire? You look at all his shares in his different companies. He's got in SpaceX, he's got in Tesla, and all that type of thing. So his worth is cumulatively all his assets from all his shares in all his companies. What's a trillion? What's a trillion? Lukman, what's a trillion? What? What's a trillion, Lukman? It's 1,000 billion. 1,000 billion. So if you got 1,000 billion rands, you got 1,000. What's a billion? 1,000 million. And a trillion is a. Although there's a difference between the English and the American definition of a billion. I think the one said that 100 million is a billion, and the American says 1,000 million. But anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is you look at your individual worth. You look at your individual worth. So the other question comes about now. Now, in previous days, maybe the thing wasn't so complicated. But now, what happened now? A person buys a home loan, right? And a home loan is now big money now. Maybe 1 million, 2 million, right? So now, if you got 50,000 rand cash, right? Your home loan is, that you pay till your nose collapse, but you're still paying. You pay every month on a home loan 15,000 rand, but you see that thing hardly moves because you're paying the interest, the interest, the interest. Now, most people, they got home loans. Okay, we're not discussing the permissibility. That's a separate issue. We leave it, put it one side for the time being, or just imagine it as a halal home loan, whatever, right, for the time being, right? Because all conventional banks, they really interest, they didn't riba, which is haram, right? So let's say it's a halal home loan for them. So you owe 800,000 rand on your house, right? You got 50,000, you got 100,000 rand, because I mean the average person, I mean that you won't have more than that. Now you say, Mulana, you said you must subtract your debt. So once I subtract 800,000 rand from my home loan, I got no more, I got no net worth. I am in the negative, so to say. Or sometimes nowadays also people, again, we're not discussing impermissibility, put that one side. They just say somebody bought a car on hire, what they call it hire purchase or through the bank, whatever. So now it's a car of 300,000, 400,000 rand, right? Huh? Bank to repossess, yeah. So right, you got 50,000 rand, 100,000 rand, or maybe you're saving up for Hajj, whatever. Hajj now, maybe I think the cheapest pack is about 120 a person, right? So now you have to pay zakat on that Hajj money, right? Now you say you deducted the whole thing. Who will end up paying zakat? Who will end up paying zakat? Nobody will end up paying zakat. If you look at the big businessmen, sometimes, property people, they got big loans. They buy a building for 10 million, 15 million. Obviously, they don't have that cash. So they will end up not paying zakat. So who's going to pay zakat then? So if you look at it, there's nothing clear in the kitabs with regards to this loan, right? That's why some ulama, very few they go with this that no, the kitabs are unspecific. You subtract the entire loan. Don't worry, even if it's millions, even if it's being paid over several years, you subtract the whole loan. But then some ulama take the cue from the mas'ala of mahar. There's a mas'ala of mahar that when you get married on mahare mu'ajjal, right? Mahare mu'ajjal wa hamza, that is deferred mahar. Like in the Arab countries, they pay a lot of mahar in that, right? So you pay the mahar off, right? So when you get married on mahare mu'ajjal wa hamza, then the masla is there, you will subtract 1 year's payments. You will subtract 1 year's payments. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why our ulama, most of the ulama, they give this answer here. You take, when you look at your bond repayment, or you take your house repayment, whatever, you take 1 year's payments, right? Some ulama have gone to this, they say you take 1 month's payment, even that's more difficult, even, right? So just expanding. So that's the first point. You'll take, if you got a big loan that's over several years, then you take 1 year's payment, whether it's a house, whether it's a car. Then the other thing is this here, you can't take now, uh, like your other, your other utility bills that as it becomes necessary to pay, right? Then you pay it. Like, for simple example, just to understand this, Misla, you can't say now, okay, I want to take the whole year's lights account off. I want to take the whole year's rental or whatever. Why can't you take that? Because look here, we are in what month are we now in? May. Is anybody demanding from you now June's payment, June's lights? Is okay, I know in Saudi there's a different masala there, like how we are in South Africa. When you hire a place, you hire per month, you pay per month. But in Saudi, when you hire, you have to give the whole year's money for upfront. You have to give the whole year's money upfront one time to pay for the whole year. But let's leave that aside. Let's look at our context. So the example now, June, July's rental money, June, July's lights, water. That is not a current liability. You haven't utilized its services as yet. So that's not a pressing gain. So those debts, you look at your current liability, what is payable now, what you have to pay now. You understand what I'm saying? What you have to pay now, that you will, what you call it, you will minus as your liabilities. That is why also people, a lot of times, they ask this questions also. In fact, every time you get it, that I got shares, again, not discussing the permissibility of shares, and some ulama say it's not permissible. Some ulama say it's conditionally permissible. If it's a halal company, and most of the business dealings in the company is dealing in this halal. Like if you buy shares in a gambling company or SA breweries, whatever, it's not permissible. So let's just say for the moment you bought in a halal company, right? So what must you do also after you determine the zakatable assets in the business? Because all assets are not zakatable. The machinery that they use, like in your business, the machinery you use for everyday manufacture, the vehicles that's not bought with the express intention to resell, it's used to do deliveries, etc., that you don't pay zakat, right? You know that they will come laysa fil awamil zakat sadaqatun. Remember, we done this in Mishkat Sharif, right? So once you determine, you look at you look at the business, you look at the cash at the end, you look at the stock, the trade stock, the merchandise, etc. Then also you will have to minus the debts that the company got. That's what I'm saying. So what you have to do is you have to look at the zakatable assets within the company, and that you have to look in. You have to look into the balance sheet, and then you minus the company's debt, because most of these companies, they have debts, they run overdraft, whatever. Then you minus that, and then you see what percentage of that share constitutes zakat, what percentage of that things constitutes zakat, right? And then you got so many shares, and then you work it out like that. You understand what I'm saying? What else? Okay, yeah, that's basically. I think it covers everything. Yeah. Okay, so وَمَنْ كَانَ عَلَيْهِ دَيْنٌ, whoever has a debt, right? يُحِيطُ بِمَالِهِ. Here you say, right? It covers the entire wealth that you got. Like I told you, you had 30,000 rand, but your debts. Now I told you what debts now, ne? Current liabilities that are pressing you now. You have to pay it now, right? فَلَا زَكَاةَ عَلَيْهِ. Then there's no zakat upon him. وقال الشافعي يجب لتحقق السبب. Other Imam Shafi rahimahullah ta'ala said, no, you still have to pay zakat even though you got a debt. Why? Because look here, he said the sabab is found. What is the sabab? The sabab is that you got the nisab, which is either fiat money or goods of trade, whatever, and 1 year has passed of it, so it become wajib upon you. So after something become wajib upon you, even if you got a debt, whatever, it can't drop off. You understand? وقال الشافعي يجب لتحقق السبب وملك نساب نام. You own the nisab that grows Right? Our reason, وَلَنَا أَنَّهُ مَشْغُولٌ بِحَاجَةِ الْأَصْلِةِ فَأَعْتُبِرَ مَعْدُومًا. Like how you, when you got, this is our reasoning here. See, look here, you got a car that you're using, right? You're using it every day, or maybe not using it every day, even you're using it, maybe you got your small run around that you use during the week. Weekend, you got a bigger vehicle that you take your family out, a station wagon or combi or whatever. That is part of your necessities. There's no zakat. Laysa ala awamiri sadaqatun, right? So that is part of your what? It is your, what we term in Arabic, your hawaij asliya. What is it, your? So he's saying, look here, when you got a debt, you have to pay this man money. He's saying, where's my money? Like how that car is a need for you. You need it for your daily activity. So you don't have to pay zakat on it. Same year, same year, that money is part of your necessity. It's not free money. It's not farig. It's not laying idly there. There is no use for it. It's just extra money. It has a purpose. It has a dul, and the purpose is what it must be used to discharge a debt. So it is like a hajat asliya. What is it? Right. They say like kalma'il mustahaqqi bil atashi wa thiyabil bazalati wal mihnati. Right. Like for example, like if you're traveling, for example, and you only got enough water to what? To quench your thirst. Just water, like you're gonna travel from here to, right? You're gonna travel from here to Joburg, right? Right, and you got 5 liters of water, because maybe you got 10 liters of water. You say, and you're on the road, and you say, you must make wudu with this water here. You got the water is there. But you say, look here, there's a long road, there's no Shell Ultras, whatever. And if I use this water to make wudu, it could very well happen that on the road we won't have water to drink. We won't have water to drink. So according to Sharia, you're not bound to make wudu. You can make tayammum, because that water is part of your hawaij asliya. You understood that? And then they give another example. Wathiyabil bizlati. I got bizla. What do you got your kitab? I thought it's bazalati. What you got your kitab? Bizlati. Okay, so that's correct. So you like your clothes that you wear every day, right? We're not gonna say you must pay zakat on it. Why? Because it is a hawaij asliya. It's not something extra that you need to be taxed with, taxed on, whatever. It's part of your need, your daily needs, right? And then also, if you have your clothes of mehnat, your clothes that you use, that you every day when you go to work, you use it, or even not even your clothes, even what you have your implements. You are a carpenter, right? You are a carpenter, so you have your skill saw, you have all that type of thing, or you are mujahid. You have your what? You have your sword. You have your uh, bow and arrow. These are part of your doctor. You have your scan, you have your stethoscope, etc., etc. That's not for the purpose of selling. So it's part of your Hawaii asliya. So you don't pay zakat on it. So same thing here. The debt is a Hawaii asli, you don't pay zakat on it. Okay, read the next one.
وإن كان ماله أكثر من دينه زكى الفاضلة إذا بلغ نصابا لفراغه عن الحاجة.
Right. But وإن كان ماله أكثر من دينه زكى الفاضلة إذا بلغ نصابا بالفراغة عن الحاجة. Right. So what he's saying here is, this is, we explained this earlier. If you have, after you subtract your debt, then the remaining zakatable assets, is more than the nisab, then you pay zakat. So simple example, your stock in your shop is R1,000,000, for example, but you owe the merchants maybe 300,000 rand, you owe the merchants 400,000 rand, right? And that's obviously a current debt. It's not a long-term liability, right? Like a long bond or whatever. So once you subtract that, you're still sitting with 600,000 rand, and the current nisab is what? Is 30,000 rand. So you will pay on the remainder, you will pay on the 600,000 rand zakat. You understand? وَإِنْ كَانَ مَالُ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ دَيْنِهِ, if his wealth is more than his debt, زَكَّى الْفَاضِلَةِ, he will give zakat on the remainder. إِذَا بَلَغَ نَصَابًا, if it reaches nisab, بِالْفَرَاقِ عَنْ الْحَاجَةِ, because it's now free of hajj al-asliya, right? Carry on, read the next about it.
والمراد به دين له مطالب من جهة العباد.
Yeah. So interesting here, when they say a debt, what debts we mean? Dainun mutalibun min jihatil ibadi. Those debts that are sought from ibad, like you owe somebody some money, you owe an individual, you owe a bank. But those debts which you owe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is not considered. Like they say, hatta la yamna'u dainun nadhri. Like if you took another, you were sick, Ya Allah ta'ala, if I get better, I'm going to give 100,000 rand to Hazza, right? Ya Allah ta'ala, if I pass my exams, then I'm going to give XYZ amount. That's another, ne? Ya Allah ta'ala, if you bless me with the son, whatever, you bless me, oh, this girl accept my proposal, whatever, I'm going to give XYZ. So that will not be considered as a debt. Wal kafaratin, also kafara is, like you broke your oath, or sometimes you can't fast. Like I told you can't fast, right? Because you got the illness that it won't go away, etc. Right? Then those type of debts, right? You don't factor that into your liability. Are you with me? Read the next one.
حتى لا يمنع دين النذر والكفارة.
Yeah. So the dain of nazar, that I told you explain now, where you took a nazar, what dainu right, wal kafari, that will not be considered a liability. What dainu zakati maniun hala baqa in nisabi, and the debt of zakat, it will it will prevent when the nisab remains لأنه ينقص به النساب. What I'm speaking here about is that if you got a zakat debt, right? For example, you had a certain amount, right? And this year you never pay your zakat. Now, right? You never pay your zakat. So then when you're working out your zakat value for the next year, then you will have to consider it as a liability. You will consider that as a liability. So if you, for example, had 200 dirhams, so you have to pay how much dirhams on 200? 5 dirhams, isn't it? So now your money never increased. You, for some reason or other, so the next year came, and you never pay zakat, and your money never increased. So technically speaking, you got how much? You only got 195 dirhams, right? Because you owe 5 dirhams in zakat. So the next year, zakat will not be wajib upon you. You understood that, because you have to factor in that zakat debt. Okay, time's up. It's probably the next year, Baruch supply some explanation. We'll do that, inshallah, tomorrow. That's